Okay, we're actually live now. Oh, actually, are we? We're just reloading again. Let's just give it a minute.
Yay, there's someone just said hello.
Oh, okay, so we're live. Awesome. Okay, so let's get started. Hi, anyone who's joining, send us some hearts, say hello, leave us a comment. Any questions, feel free to leave them below. Or if you're on Zoom, pop them in the chat box. And let's get started. Firstly, for those of you who don't know me already, I'm Sarah Mack. I'm a writer and mindset coach. I work with creatives, artists, coaches, and healers. I'm all about creating more money, more fun, and more freedom doing the work that you love. And today I'm really excited to welcome our guest, Laura Langhienrich. I've been practicing her name. I got it wrong a couple of times, so I'm really sorry. And she is a rising YouTube star. She has a podcast called Digital Diamonds, and she's all about social media and branding for multi-passionate creatives. She's a coach. She helps with confidence on video, social media strategy, and all of that fun stuff. Hi, Laura. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hello, Sarah. Thank you so much for this great introduction. You got my name really well, actually, really right. So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Laura. I'm a 20-year-old student entrepreneur. So I'm still studying, but I'm so passionate about being, a multi-passionate entrepreneur and entrepreneurship in general. So I'm a YouTuber. I'm a podcast host of the Digital Diamonds, where I also featured Sarah, which will come up soon. The episode will be good. And yeah, I'm also a YouTuber. So my passion is to help female entrepreneurs to grow their personal brands with social media strategy, YouTube, online video, personal branding. And yeah, it's really fun. And I'm really excited to be here today.
Yeah, when we connected and we were chatting about ideas that would be, really useful for everyone here in the Big Creative Fun community, one thing that came up was the struggle that often creative people have when it comes to creating a consistent brand online, and being able to communicate what it is that we do while bringing in, all of the multifaceted sides of our personality and interests and passions and skills and experience, while, creating a cohesive identity so that people can find us and it's clear what it is that we're doing and what service we're providing. So Laura, I would love for you to share your wisdom on, how it is that you support creatives in, really having success and building momentum and building an audience with their social media and their online brand.
Yeah. So first of all, I am really passionate about encouraging creatives, business owners to really build a personal brand on social media, right? Because what a personal brand is you guys, if you are a creative, right, and not a faceless brand, like a faceless business, you are a personal brand. And what I'm so passionate about is empowering you to really bring all of your interests, passions, personality traits into your social media strategy, into your whole online presence, because what that will actually do is it will make you stand out from others. Because let's be real, there's probably someone out there doing what you're doing. Like for me, there are so many branding coaches and marketing experts and whatever, right? But probably there's no one who, I don't know, is into tarot and loves dancing and, has a podcast, whatever, who is also a YouTuber. All of those things that are surrounding your core business, right? All of those things that make you a multi-passionate entrepreneur, I really encourage you to bring that into your social media strategically so that you can stand out. So, I love teaching online video, especially how to build a YouTube channel, how to find your niche on YouTube, how to bring more personality and attitude into social media, because I feel like it's so easy to just do what everyone else is doing. because you're probably afraid that, you know, if you try something else, it won't work, right? But if you work with me together, we really find out a way. And we also find platforms that fit you and your really, you know, unique, multi-passionate business idea, basically. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I love that. Really amazing advice. Thank you. What would you say, you know, for creatives who are maybe in the beginning stages of building their personal brand, and, you know, they're wondering what really to focus on to start getting that audience engagement built up as quickly as possible? What would you advise as like the most important strategies and things to think about to start with?
Yeah. So first of all, it's really, really important that you do not feel pressured to be everywhere. That's like the most important thing, because what I learned is that, yes, it's so important. Like two things: you need to, or you should be where obviously your client, your customers, right? So you need to know kind of who you're talking to, and then you will find out where your customer is, right? That's like one consideration when you're looking to put together your online visibility strategy, right? But what I think so many people overlook is, you know, you should be somewhere that you love to be on, right? Where you think that's so much fun. It really highlights your personality, right? So it's important to be where your client is and where you actually want to be, right? And I think the best way to really grow an audience from scratch is to be either on YouTube, podcast, or, you know, having a blog and growing the blog with Pinterest, if we like really get into strategy right now. Because the thing is that with social media, with Instagram, Facebook, I see it as a community or following or audience engaging platform, whereas something like a podcast or YouTube channel is an audience growing platform, right? Because it has a certain searchability to it, right? You don't necessarily go onto Facebook, for example, to search for the solution to your problem, right? You go onto YouTube or to a podcast. So it's really important that you have the social platform and that you have this rich content platform, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's like my advice, to have both of those platforms and to be where you want to be, right? And to really think about, oh, you know, I love speaking. Let's create a podcast. Or I love being on video. I love editing. Let's create a YouTube. Or I actually don't like talking so much. I'm better at writing than do a blog. So it's about listening to yourself and also knowing your strengths.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I've actually never heard anyone talk about YouTube as an audience growing platform before. But obviously everybody's there and everyone's, you know, always looking for content on YouTube. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your experience with starting and growing a YouTube channel?
Yeah, of course. First of all, before I forget, I just want to say hi to Ada, who is an amazing person. Like, I chat to her like all the time. She's actually amazing. She's on live. That's why I just want to say hi. But yeah, anyway.
It's amazing.
So, hi. Sorry, I always get distracted. So I discovered the YouTube beauty lifestyle community when I was like 12. And I started watching videos daily. I was hooked, right? And since I'm like 12, 13, I always wanted to be a YouTuber. And I sometimes started my channel and I deleted it again because I was afraid that people in school would make fun of it, because I mean, I'm like from a small town, so people still are not really aware of YouTube, but back then no one knew. So fast forward to last March, I finally had the confidence to start my YouTube channel and to stick with it, right? So I like consistently, I'm not a YouTuber for long, so my YouTube channel is like ginormous, but basically I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. So that's kind of my story. And I really started being consistent with YouTube because I study abroad in Scotland. So I finally had something that I wanted to share and that I knew would help people, right? And I think if you are an entrepreneur, you already have that with your business, right? I think when you're just starting a YouTube channel to become a YouTuber, it's probably not that easy to get over your limiting beliefs of, oh, no one will watch me and who am I to do this, right? But if you have this business, this message, this really valuable thing that you can help people with, I think that you should always focus on that, and that will give you the confidence to, you know, start something like a YouTube channel. So that's kind of my story and also what I learned from it. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. And what advice do you have to offer for anyone who, you know, thinks that they would like to get on YouTube and think they have a lot of really valuable content, that it would be a really smart business strategy, but they're coming up against a lot of resistance and excuses as to why they're not good enough to be on YouTube, or why they shouldn't bother, or, you know, getting over a lot of the limiting beliefs and things that will stand in the way of people going ahead and getting a consistent YouTube channel up there?
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, like, first of all, everyone goes through this. Everyone has those limiting beliefs of, I don't have the right equipment. I should wait until I have the right equipment. I'm afraid of what my family and friends will think. Or, you know, there's so much competition out there. Who am I to like stand out and to expect people to watch me? Everyone has those limiting beliefs. And the thing is, waiting will not make those limiting beliefs disappear. So the advice that I have is to really identify your limiting beliefs. And then, you know, I love to work on them through mindset journaling, you know, affirmations, all of that mindset work. You can really, you know, help with that. But I think what really helps as well is to just sit down with someone who has a YouTube channel, or who is really someone who puts themselves out there, and to just tell them about your limiting beliefs, your fears. Chat to me, right? Chat to me, always chat to me. Like, I love chatting about that kind of stuff because everyone faces that. And what I always say is that your fears will never 100% go away, but you need to get to a point where they are not holding you back anymore. You always have to focus on the people you might help and you might change their lives, right? And it's kind of selfish to keep your message, your gift, right? Your creative wisdom, whatever, because you're a creative entrepreneur. It's kind of selfish to keep that to yourself. You always have to think about the lives you could change. I know this sounds so huge, but the thing is that it is huge. Like, you can reach so many people with YouTube. So yeah, that's my advice.
Awesome. Very solid advice. Thank you. And yeah, it seems like mindset work, in my opinion, is the answer to everything. So can you tell us a little bit about, you know, what you think about, you know, finding that balance between having a very clear focus on, you know, the service and the value that you're providing to your clients, that's, you know, very specific around what you help them with, but also bringing in some of those other sides of your personality, maybe, you know, different interests that maybe don't necessarily completely relate, and how to approach that when you're creating content.
Yeah, makes total sense. And I think it's something that obviously depends on every multi-passionate entrepreneur, because obviously the passions are different ones. But generally, I think you should think about, we chatted on that yesterday on the podcast, whether you would love to implement everything into one brand, like one Instagram account, one Facebook page, one YouTube channel, or do you want to keep them separate? So it's all about thinking, do I have any commonalities of my audiences, right? Because what really helped me, because I struggle with this as well, like I have, like on YouTube, I kind of have like my study abroad audience, my travel audience, my lifestyle, whereas on the podcast, it's kind of only business. So what I actually did, I can actually show you, I have like here, I sat down and I made a little sheet with my two audiences, right? And I wrote down what they are interested in, what they want to learn about, and what their personality is like. I wrote it down for my audiences, and then I figured out the commonalities, right? And the thing is, the commonalities is what should be a big part of your content, right? of course, that's what it's so beautiful about being a personal brand. You can always infuse your other passions. I love to share my passions on like Instagram story or like in a Facebook post or whatever. But the main pieces of content, like, I don't know, like a YouTube video or a podcast episode, it definitely should speak about your main thing, yeah, like your main business, you know what I mean, like the main core. And then you can sprinkle your personality in really well. For example, YouTube. I think YouTube is the perfect platform for multi-passionate entrepreneurs because people will want to know more about you, right? The thing is that because it's video, people will feel like they're your friends. So when they have watched you for like 2 months, they are like, oh my gosh, I need to know, like, do you have a pet? What's your favorite food? What does your morning routine look like, right? So there are so many ways to really implement that. For example, just one really basic thing, when you have like a YouTube setup, you could implement really cute things. Like, for example, you're like into music. So if you would do like a YouTube, you could like put music things in the background, little things like that. There are so many ways to be really creative and to have your core message, but then to sprinkle all of your passions around that. Mm-hmm.
I love that. Thank you. So, yeah, and I love that that sheet that you made. So it's just really getting clear on where there's crossover with your audience, where they'll also resonate with you know, some of your other interests. Because I guess what you don't want to do is if you have like some pretty left field, like random hobby or something that maybe wouldn't resonate so well with your customers, like that might be the thing to not talk about on your social channels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like something, see, I love Instagram stories. I could talk about Instagram stories all the time because that's the place where you can actually be random, right? So fun, right? And I also say, you know, you can always test and trial things. It shouldn't hold you back. Just put stuff out there and see. If no one is engaging, if no one actually cares, then that's fine. You just won't talk about it, right? And you can also on Instagram stories, again, pull your people and just ask them, oh, by the way, like I love tarot. Would you be interested in like seeing a post about tarot? Yes, no. And then you can always see, right? You can always ask as well if you're not sure.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I guess the key word here is engagement and just building relationships, being curious. And I think a lot of the time as entrepreneurs, we can get a little bit bogged down by what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. And, you know, trying to follow a formula that someone else did and was successful with it. And I think with social media, the rules are changing all the time. So I think it's great just to have that real like creative approach to it and just have fun with it and do whatever excites you and whatever's interesting to you, you know, might well be interesting to a lot of other people as well. So just being experimental. So what's your view on, you know, like consistency and how much we should be posting and where and all of that fun stuff?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love talking about consistency. And, you know, I think that, again, never post just to post. Only post when it feels good. And I'm a big believer. I kind of sometimes go in and out of phases. I always try to stay consistent. Like I put out a lot of content because I love doing it. Like I put out 2 videos a week, 2 podcast episodes a week, like daily Instagram, daily Facebook, because I really do love it. It's like my favorite part about my business is the content creation. If you don't want to do that, that's fine, right? So first of all, that's just one thing. But I personally always go in and out of phases where sometimes I love to plan and pre-batch produce my content. So I will do like 5 podcast episodes and I will like schedule them. I will do like 3 videos, schedule them. And sometimes, for example, right now, I'm really in an intuitive marketing phase, right? Where I write a Facebook post and I press publish. I record a podcast episode today, it's live tomorrow. So I think it's about consistency, is about finding the best way for you personally to create content. And, you know, when it comes to how much you should post as much as, or as long as your quality and your quantity is leveled, right? You should never go, you know, where your quality is like 100%, but you only post once a month. But you also shouldn't be where you post 2 times a day, but the quality is just low, right? So again, it's about testing and trying. But generally, it's just a general thing. For YouTube, what I say, beginner, post once a week. And for more advanced people who already know editing, who are good on camera, do 2 times a week. Same with podcast. If you're just starting out, 1 time per week. If you love talking, you're really good with editing, 2 times a week. I think on Instagram, you could show up daily. I would challenge you to do that. You don't have to post daily, but you should do an Instagram story because it's so easy. You can just be like, oh, hey guys, this is my breakfast. Bye. Probably not, but you know what I mean. And Facebook, if you can every day, you don't have to. I think like 3 to 5 times per week is not bad. But again, it totally depends on what you want to do. And if you say like, oh, I will do like 3 Facebook lives per week and no posts or something, then everything to you, right? But it's about like consistency is so important. And especially on YouTube, if you're not consistent, your YouTube channel won't grow. That's just how it is. So yeah, that's my advice on consistency. Consistency is key.
Awesome. I love that. And I love recognizing that sometimes you just, you know, especially as a creative, you get into an intuitive flow and you get ideas. And, you know, if you have time in your schedule to go and start putting that content out there immediately. I find sometimes, well, I love working like that. And I think sometimes you tap into something that like needs to be said in that moment. And sometimes I find it's those like intuitively written pieces of content that will resonate with people the most. And they were like, oh, I just really needed to hear this today. So yeah, I love that. But also obviously having that schedule as well, so that you are being consistent, so that when, you know, life can get a little bit busy as it can do, you're not, you know, you don't just forget and like drop off on your engagement.
Yeah.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just like watching the questions, and Nada was asking how to actually become more consistent. And what I say, of course, like, as I said, if you are more onto the batch producing pre-planning, then why not create all of your content for a week in 1 day if you want to do that, right? That's more for the people who want to pre-plan content, batch produce. That's probably more time saving. However, if you're more like, you know, Sarah and I, where we are more intuitive, I really say in order to be consistent, you need to make content creation a habit. Because with everything, with eating well, with doing exercise every day, it gets easier and easier if it's a habit. So, for example, what I do is after my morning routine, when I'm like really inspired, I did my mindset work. If I have a good idea, I sit down and I write a long Facebook post. That's like on my to-do list, and I really try to do it every single day, right? So making a habit out of creating, but then also making a habit out of documenting, right? You have those, when it comes to content, it's either you document something or you create something, right? Documenting is obviously easier than creating, obviously. So documenting would be to document your day on Instagram story. That's so easy, right? And if you want to be consistent, then just document more. Let people know on Facebook, oh, by the way, yeah, I just had a client call. It was amazing, right? It's just documenting. You don't have to think about it. So how to be more consistent, making it a habit, documenting more, and just sticking to it, right? I love actually something else I can just share with you. I have like a habit tracker where I also have like 1 row of content creation, right? So it's actually also, I'm still like not a pro at it. So I think making habits, it will really help.
Yeah, super solid advice. And also I'm loving all of your like paperwork checklist that you're showing us with this incredible font that you have going. I wish I could create stationery that beautiful. Mine are more like a bajillion post-it notes, colorful post-it notes, like strewn across my notepads, like loads of legal pads with handwriting that I can't even read. What would you say are like some of the biggest questions or, you know, struggles that you help your clients with?
Yeah, I think it's a lot about clarity and confidence, right? I think clarity and confidence is kind of, it's linked, right? Without confidence in what you do and what you put out there, you don't really have clarity, and you also don't have consistency. But without clarity, you don't really have confidence, and you also don't really have consistency. So I think in order to be consistent, it's like consistent is like on top, and you have like the two pillars, which is clarity and confidence. So whenever someone comes to me, they're usually like, yeah, I'm kind of posting on social media, but I don't really know what I'm doing, and I don't really see real engagement. I feel like people just come to me randomly. And also what I love to help people with, especially with like YouTube, people who right now they are, you know, they're on the basics of their business, but they're already established, right? But they're still on the basis, and they really want to create that tribe and not only have a client here and there. So they want to create an audience that has not only like followers, fans, viewers, but also clients, right? So people who come to me, they really want to have that personal branded influence that helps them to attract clients on autopilot. I'm so passionate about, you know, automating things because, you know, we all became entrepreneurs to live a freedom lifestyle, to maybe travel a lot. That's like, I know you as well, right? So I think choosing platforms like YouTube or like podcasts where you put in the effort and then you get a return on investment and you don't have to be there all the time. I'm really passionate about that. And I think that's a big struggle as well. But generally, if someone really tries and they're done, you know, trying to figure out everything on their own, because there's, as you said, there's so much advice. So many people say, oh, you have to do Facebook ads. And other people say, never do Facebook ads. And people say, Instagram, you have to be there like 24/7. So yeah, I think giving clarity and confidence, and also being someone who just tells them, you are doing amazing and your results are great. Because the thing is, people expect social media to be this thing where you post it and then you get like 20 million likes, right? And it's happening really fast. Whereas when people tell me like, oh, I like just started my YouTube channel now, like I only have like 25 subscribers, I'm like, but that's great. Like 25 subscribers, if they are real people that love you, that's amazing. Like, be proud. And I think having someone to be like a little cheerleader, I think that's like what a lot of people need.
Totally, because yeah, it can take a while to build an audience, and yeah, it's all about celebrating the small wins, and especially that's, you know, being an entrepreneur. Often the times it's just us and our laptop in a room somewhere, and we don't have like people around us to remind us that we're doing a good job. Yeah, that's awesome. One thing I also wanted to ask your opinion on was social media schedulers. Are there any particular ones that you use or that you like or recommend using?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't use any schedulers, I have to say, because I'm more of an intuitive marketer. So I schedule stuff in the app. So I scheduled in YouTube, I scheduled in my podcast, you know, thing, right? In Facebook. I don't schedule Instagram. I only have like an app where you can like plan your feed a bit. So that's the only thing I have. And then I have like a little notification on my phone reminding me, oh, it's like 7 p.m. Post on Instagram. I have heard different opinions where people say if you use third-party schedulers like Buffer, or how's the other one called?
Hootsuite.
Hootsuite, yes. That apparently, because it's a third party, when you use it for Facebook, that Facebook declines the reach of the post. I don't really know. I think that's all speculations. And if it helps you a lot, then definitely try that out. But what I love to store my content in to maybe later repurpose is Trello. So I have like a big Trello board with all of my Facebook posts, and whenever I see a post performing really well, I try to spread it into my favorite Facebook groups and onto Instagram. So keeping your content, I think, is really smart and using Trello, for example.
Great, thank you. And how do you approach, like reaching out into the community on the different social platforms and sort of building those relationships and your following?
Yeah. So there's obviously like so much like to say about growing a following. Okay, I will just talk about YouTube because YouTube is amazing. So I actually personally think that if you do it right, if you do it consistently, if you are in it with all your heart, I think YouTube and podcasts, I would say it's the easiest to grow in, quote unquote, right? It's not easy, right? But it's possible. It's definitely possible because both are, no, it's actually different. Okay. YouTube, it's a search engine, right? So people are already looking for stuff. So basically, where I see Instagram and Facebook, you are putting yourself in front of people. Whereas on YouTube, people are coming to you because they're searching for something. And if you optimize your videos properly with the right keywords and the right tags and, building your channel authority, all of that stuff, like that's a whole nother topic. If you're able to do that, people come to you on autopilot, and you don't have to go out there every single day and post and use hashtags and comment and whatever. People are coming to you. So I think the search aspect of YouTube and really finding out what your dream clients are already looking for, you can look that up like in the YouTube search bar. There are a lot of cool tools to do that. I think that's the best way to grow a YouTube channel. What's amazing about the podcast is that you leverage someone else's audience if you interview them. That's what I find, is that really now my podcast starts growing so much because of the interviews, because new people are coming to you again without you having to like chase after them. They're coming to you. And if they like what they hear, they will stay. So you don't actually really have to like go out and DM them and follow them and comment on their photos, whatever. So I think podcast, YouTube, amazing. When it comes to Instagram and Facebook, again, I see them as an audience engaging platform. So yes, you can absolutely grow on Instagram if you like are into the comment on other people's photos and do like the whole hashtags. Totally, you can absolutely grow, or if you like get shout out from another account. But I would recommend you to focus your energy on a platform like YouTube or a podcast to get new people. And if they love you, they will follow you on Instagram, and on Facebook, and that's kind of how you grow that. And then on there, you can really interact with them, engage them, sell something to them, right? Whereas on like YouTube podcast, you find them and they come to you. Yeah.
Awesome. Super, super helpful. Thank you so much. So what else do you think is really important to think about? So when you're setting up a strategy as a multi-passionate creative, in terms of, really streamlining the messaging of your business and getting that message across in terms of the value that you have to offer with, in line with educating your viewers and your followers about how you can help them with the problem that they're looking for a solution for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, it like depends on on the platform you're choosing. But for example, easy things that I think a lot of people overlook is that in your Instagram bio, do not, you can, again, those are all just recommendation things you can try out. But if you are like me, for example, a coach, because I'm now using Instagram also more for my business, I put my statement into my bio, like I help female entrepreneurs to grow their personal brands on YouTube, blah, 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 right? And then I do not put in like study abroad in Scotland and, love dance, love yoga, love tarot. That's all things I put into my stories. So those little easy things that sound really vague right now, I think it's important. Also, if you have a YouTube channel, to put your tagline, your helping you, that's that and that, putting that on your channel art. Those little things I think are so important. It obviously has a lot to do with branding, and that's how also you see the power of branding, because it really influences how people, because we are all visual creatures, right? Visual people, we have to see things, right? So yeah, I think first of all that, and then when you create a strategy, for example, it's like a good example with YouTube. I always love to go through, when we like establish a niche, I always love to have like the overall niche and then the sub niches, which are like your branches of your brand, right? When you're a multi-passionate person. So that's exactly what you could do as well for Instagram and Facebook and your podcast. Writing down, okay, what are the main interests? What are the main passions? Writing that all down, having like buckets to put that in, and then alternating it, right? Not just for a month talking about your, like your coaching business, and then for another month talking about how much you love cooking. It's so important to kind of have an overview over what you're passionate about, what you want to put out there, and then alternating the things to kind of create a balance of everything.
Awesome. And what do you think is important and isn't important when it comes to, the visuals that we're putting out there, in terms of like the quality of the video, and the aesthetic and the coloring, like all of that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I think that if you have an aesthetic, if you have a vibe, if you have a mood, it's always better. Always. Like, no one can tell me that the visual branding isn't important, because it is really important. However, it's definitely something that you can do after you started, and you don't have to do everything before you start. It shouldn't be something that holds you back. And same with equipment. I always say, as long as it's not like the quality is not distracting from what you have to say, like the quality is so bad that people can't understand you. Of course, you have to get a better camera, right? But you don't need the perfect like $1,000 camera to start a YouTube channel, right? You do not, because in the end, it's about the message and the content, and not like the quality, like the production quality, because if it were, then everyone with good video skills would be amazing at YouTube, and everyone who's a good graphic designer would like have an amazing Instagram and 1 million followers, which clearly not. So I think what's important is being resourceful. And also, if you have the budget, why not get yourself some help? Like, for example, I created like my own website, and then because we had it in uni, because I'm also studying like PR, so it's like a lot of marketing and design as well. Anyway, but then it was so slow and it wouldn't load, and I was like, okay, I will just hire someone, because there are people out there who are specializing in that, and it's actually great to give someone work, right? I mean, that's cool. I think it's cool to, support each other, like freelancers and entrepreneurs. So yes, your visual branding is important, and I would so encourage you to try out different things. Like, I love if people have like their special colors and their special things that they like. I don't know if they like love cool, like for example, Erin May Henry, I just think of her because her branding is insane. Like, it's so good. And she's like black and gold. And she also has like those sparkling and sequin jackets all the time. And for me, I love color. So my Instagram feed, I try to keep it really colorful and really bright. But I think that's also something you actually develop when you do it, and it will change a lot. So do put thought into it, definitely, but don't put it like up here and until I have a perfect camera, I will not start YouTube. Okay, don't be that person.
Yeah, don't let it hold you back. I think whatever it is you're thinking about, don't let it be a reason to hold you back. Just keep going, push forward. Everybody starts somewhere. So what would, for anyone who's thinking about starting a podcast, what are sort of the main things that you need to think about in terms of logistics and, you know, all of the parts of the process, or anything that you might need to support with, or equipment or anything like that?
Yeah. I love podcasting because it's so easy. It's so simple. The thing that I didn't know before, I wasn't really aware of, is that you have to, I think if you have your own website, you can host your podcast on your website, but not entirely sure because that's not how I'm doing it. Usually you have to buy space online, right? You have to buy a space where you can put your files. So I use Blueberry, for example, and I pay not a lot. I think it's like probably $15 or something per month, which is okay, it's money, but it's not like big, not a lot. So you need that host. So a lot of people use Libsyn. I use Blueberry. Just use any host, really. And then what you need are some headphones. I don't even have a podcast microphone. I just use my iPhone headphones because that's fine for the beginning. Then you need an editing software. I use GarageBand, which is free on a MacBook. It's so easy, like literally no problem. And then you just record. In the beginning, I really scripted my episodes, which I don't do anymore. Like I just have like 3 points that I want to talk about, and I just blah, right? Because people actually love if you make mistakes and if you like mess up, which I do a lot in my episodes. So I think it's kind of funny as well. So yeah, you need that. And then you just record, you upload. And then how it basically works is you have like your host, you have your podcast on there, and then you put like a link. It's all like everything you can Google. But then you put it onto iTunes or wherever you want to put it, and then you have it there as well. So it's a really easy process when it comes to equipment. And when it comes to finding a posting schedule, as I said, once per week, I think for the beginning is enough. If you can do more, that's perfect. You can also, if you want to batch podcast episodes, so record like 4 at a time, because it doesn't really take that long. I mean, it does. When you talk for like an hour, it does, but it doesn't have to. Like, it's fine if it's like in the beginning, if it's like 20 minutes long or something. I don't know, depends. Yeah, then you just create like a little artwork, super fun. Like, I love creating my artwork. And yeah, when it comes to interviews, obviously you don't have to do interviews on your podcast, but it's amazing for audience building, and it's really fun because it gave me, for example, an opportunity to talk to so many of my favorite YouTubers where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually talking to them, and it's so cool. And I like, with pitching people to be on your podcast, I would definitely say only pitch to people who you love, who you have been following really long, because then you can really closely create a pitch like your email, where it's so close to the person that they literally notice, oh my gosh, she's such a stalker, like in a positive way. I need to talk to her, right? And of course, thinking about, like, for example, when I pitched to like some of my favorite YouTubers, I was like, I adored this and this and this, and I know that my listeners will support you because they're interested in this, and that's who they are, and that's why it will be so much fun, and blah. So yeah, that's my advice for pitching, but obviously there's so much more to say about that, which we can't cover everything, but yeah.
And what is, you know, how do you get your podcast out there? Is that just through social media channels and obviously through tapping into other people's audiences?
Yes,
as you mentioned.
And there is a searchability aspect to podcasts where apparently if you get reviews that heightens the ranking of your podcast. So you can put your podcast, there are like a lot of categories in iTunes. So you can put your podcast into a category and then hope that people will find you when they're just scrolling through like iTunes or podcasts or whatever. But sharing it on your own social media, I always share if there's like a new podcast episode, I always share it on my Insta stories, or you could do a Facebook Live on like when you said, for example, like 3 tips to grow a YouTube channel in 2018. I would like do a Facebook Live and, you know, just talk about something that's related to that topic and then be like in the beginning, oh, by the way, if you love this live stream, then make sure you check out the link in the comments, which will lead you to my podcast episode about this and this and this. So being creative, not being afraid to share it, promote it, and obviously get get interviewers who have a great audience. And that's how, like, it will grow from itself. It's really something that once it has a certain level, it will just grow. And one more tip is to encourage your listeners, be like, oh yeah, by the way, before I get started, if you love this episode, take a screenshot, put it onto Insta stories and link me, and then I will like reshare it on my Insta stories. That's like a cool thing as well.
So okay, so they take a screenshot of your story and then tag you in their story.
No, they take a screenshot of like their screen when they listen to the episode. They put it onto their Insta story, tag me, and then I will reshare their Instagram story on my Instagram story. I know it's confusing.
Okay. Oh my goodness. So
that's just something I like to do.
Share loop. Okay, so what's the motivation for people to do that so that they get shared on your platform? So it's visibility for them.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like kind of a thank you because obviously you always have to remember that you give so much value on a podcast and people get it for free. So you shouldn't be afraid to ask for them to leave a review and tell them, leave a review on iTunes because it helps out my podcast so much so I can continue doing those amazing episodes, or share it on Instagram so we get a bigger tribe, right? So that maybe one day we can monetize to create even more amazing episodes. Be really honest with your audience because people know it anyway. So I think if you say it, then that's really authentic.
Awesome. Amazing tips. I just want to invite anybody who has a question. If you would like to submit to Laura, you can pop it in the chat box. And why don't we end with, just in case there's anyone who's watching who has, you know, an amazing business or an idea or a creative project that they're building, but they have a lot of fear and anticipation about getting up and putting themselves on video and being public and sharing their work. Is there any top tips that you would be able to share with them?
Yeah. Definitely. I think it's a lot about, as I said, being on a platform that complements you. I think that does so much, because if you see, there's always, everyone is nervous before they do their first Facebook Live. So that's a good kind of nervousness, and how do you say that, tension. That's a good kind, because it's cool because you push yourself outside your comfort zone. So obviously you are like nervous. But if you really do not like creating videos, then do not create videos. Rather focus your attention on something else. You are allowed to do that, right? Because you are your own boss, right? That's why you are an entrepreneur, because you want to do what you want, right? So I think that's a big tip, to always listen to your intuition, to try out everything, and then to just say, okay, that's not for me. I will try something else. Not trying everything and then like switching from one thing to one thing and be like, oh, today I like this, today I like that. I'm not talking about this. Trying something long enough so you know if it's for you, if it works, and then saying yes or no. That's one thing. And connecting with people who are on the same level so that you can chat about your fears with, and where you can be like, oh, like, what's your experience? And oh my gosh, yes, I'm going through the same thing. It's totally normal. I think that helps a lot as well. And, you know, realizing that you, like, as I said, the fear will not go away. You just have to start, and you have to give yourself the permission. You cannot wait for anyone else to give you the permission. And you just have to push yourself. And, you know, think about your end goal. I think we talked about that yesterday, how important it is to have a vision. And I think if you always keep, you know, reminding yourself of that vision, that, wow, if I would build that YouTube channel right now, maybe that would result in clients constantly coming without me hustling like 24/7 on social media. So guess what? Maybe one day I can only work 4 hours a day, and the rest of the day I can travel and spend with my family, whatever. I think it's about reminding yourself of the bigger picture and just being like, is it really worth to not try it? Because, you know, also with the limiting belief, like, who am I to do this? Well, who are you not to do this? Yeah, I think it's about like pushing and pushing and pushing yourself, but also listening to your intuition, to your gut, and doing what you want and not what anyone else. Even if now, like, you're like, oh, she says I should start a YouTube, but you don't want to start a YouTube, then do not start a YouTube, right? So yeah, I think that's like some of my biggest advice.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of this incredibly valuable knowledge and wisdom with us. You are amazing. And please, can you share with us how anyone watching can continue to learn from you and follow you?
Yeah, well, definitely subscribe to my podcast. It's called Digital Diamonds. It's really fun. I upload twice a week. A lot of fun solo episodes and interviews, including with Sarah. So you have to like listen to that episode anyway. Of course, like my Instagram, which is my name, my YouTube, which is my name, my Facebook, which is also my name that everyone can remember really well, not. And yeah, when it comes to like working with me, I do like coaching sessions, like single coaching sessions. I have a big coaching program right now. If you want to start a YouTube channel, I even have my YouTube online course on sale actually today, tomorrow, like until Saturday. So you can also check that out if you want to. And yeah, I think my podcast, that's where you get most of my really in-depth business advice. And I also love doing Facebook Lives. So that's like my two
Amazing. Favorites. So thank you so much. Feel free to pop links to all of this good stuff below the live in the group so that people can find you easily. Mm-hmm. And yeah, if anyone's watching the replay and you have a question, feel free to tag myself or Laura in the comments and we'll get back to you. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us and everyone for watching. Have an amazing rest of your day.
Yay!
Bye.
Bye.